Hello, Romamnesia here, and today we're going to talk about, well, quite frankly, why I made this channel. Sort of, anyway. So I'll get into all that in another video. I'll probably have a video explaining who I am, why my opinion matters, and, quite frankly, it doesn't. But we're going to be talking about the Netflix original Dear White People. Yes, of course, the hot topic of this week. It'll probably, lose a lot of interest even in the coming weeks ahead before it launches. But I wanted to give my opinion on it because I don't see enough people saying what I'm saying. Um, Maybe this is kind of the opinion of it, but I think I have a few things to add to this conversation. So, the first thing that I want to really talk about is the satire defense. So, first, let me just say this: I am not against the show entirely. I'm not against Netflix entirely yet, because the thing is, the show hasn't come out. If the trailer, if the trailer's purpose was to get views, get attention, and stir some controversy, it did a phenomenal job. Now, granted, supposedly a lot of people are uh, deleting their Netflix subscription and canceling their subscription and stuff. And if that's the case, then Netflix may have a backlash from this, an actual substantial one that they care about. But if that's being over, if that's not what many people are doing, which I don't think many people are, then realistically what Netflix has is a controversial trailer with millions now of views. And that's not something, that's something that everyone kind of wants, to stir a little controversy, to get attention for their new show. The thing is, it's not out yet, so no one can judge it just quite yet. However, I do not think that some of the things that both sides are saying about this is entirely 100% true. So let's talk about the first point that I want to bring up: the satire defense. A lot of people say, well, this is just satire, so you gotta take it, with a grain of salt. Okay, that's fine. That does not excuse the fact that I did not like the source material. And let's talk about that for just a second. This is based off of a movie. I think everyone knows that now. Philip DeFranco said that, and I think everyone kind of understands that now. And I did watch the movie, as I think anyone should, who is going to be critical of. I've seen some YouTubers who are like, well, I haven't seen the movie yet, but this is why I support this view. And if you haven't seen the source material that the entire show is going to be based off of, I don't know if you have the best argument for or against this show. But the movie itself wasn't really that good. I see a lot of people, uh, like, I don't know if it's virtue signaling or not. I don't think it is, but I see a lot of people saying, oh man, this movie was really good. I didn't think it was all that good. Um, it felt like a movie that was really up its own ass, that really thought, oh, well, I'm better than both sides. Because, yes, both sides are dramatized and both sides are made fun of. But here is the issue with really any satire, right? Is one side kind of did end up being right. And it was the side of the kind of radical blacks. Now, I will also say this: that yes, in the very last scene, spoilers for anyone who cares. I don't think this is a big, spoiler warning thing. But the woman who hosted Dear White People, the radio show, which is what the movie's name it comes from, ends up pretty much being completely like just de-radicalized. I'm making up words here, but she becomes very tame, very very okay. She starts dating the white guy who clearly cares about her, and throughout the movie she was trying to find her identity because she was mixed, and that is something that I've heard a lot of mixed people do struggle with, is what side in all this craziness do I choose? And I hate that people have to choose sides, because I think both sides have a lot to bring to the table in most arguments. Now, that being said, I still didn't think the movie was all that good. That's my opinion, though. I understand what it was trying to do. I understand, and don't necessarily agree with, but I understand the ending. A few people have brought up, well, the only reason that this blackface party, which is what the trailer shows, the Netflix trailer shows, the ending of the movie, the only reason that happened is because the radical, black students on campus who kind of pushed for that. And so it's not really demonizing white people and saying all white people do this, more so as saying that's kind of their pushback. And you know what? I get that. I see both sides. But yet again, for me, it wasn't just a good movie. And that's the problem with the satire argument for me, is because, and it's not just with Dear White People. I've seen many other shows, movies, hell, even musical acts. I remember back in the day, when I was very critical of Kesha within my group of friends and online, I remember some people saying, well, Kesha's being a satire, right? That she doesn't actually believe party all day and drink all day and fuck everyone. Well, that doesn't make up for the fact that her music sucks, you know what I mean? So I don't think that being a satire is just a blanket term that you can just say and, oh, well, you don't have to take responsibility for just not being good now. And, for example, I'm absolutely a fan of South Park. And they are, in my opinion, the best social commentary, social satire that we have in pretty much the past 2 decades, right? But they're good, and they don't really release a whole bad season. You can argue they've released some bad episodes. You can even argue they've released some bad seasons, but in my opinion, they haven't. In my opinion, they stay consistent. And yes, this is opinion, not based on any stat or evidence or anything, but I don't think South Park has really gone downhill, at least very much. Yes, I think it had its peak, but I don't think that it's really lost much momentum. So a good satire like South Park, in my opinion, it's just good. The satire isn't what makes it good. It's the content that makes it good, and it being a satire makes you actually also think. Another thing that I think the Dear White People movie does, and I think the movie is a little less to blame for this, and I think the TV show will spark this a little more, is current race relations are pretty awful, honestly. We have President Trump, which, whatever you believe about him, I don't care in this video. You have President Trump, you have Black Lives Matter, you have all these, protests, you have all this kind of narrative that all white people are evil. And then you have the counterculture saying, which I don't necessarily agree with this either, that, well, all black people are doing this. Like, don't get me wrong, there's some of this counterculture that I think is actually really good and that's making some valid points. But there is a part of this counterculture that is actually turning racist, that is actually just saying racist things. And I don't think that's right either. I think both sides of this argument on the extremes are saying some very, very, very bad things. Race relations are really bad right now. Obviously, they're not the worst they've ever been. But to be fair, they are the worst that they've been, in my experience anyway, in at least the past 20 years. And that's saying a lot. I don't understand why we're regressing this much in race relations. That being said, 2017 is kind of a bad time for Dear White People to come out. Even if it has some valid points, it's going to kind of fall upon deaf ears because no one really cares right now. They just see this, they think about, MTV's Dear White People, the New Year's resolution thing, and they're not really interested in hearing what you have to say because we've seen this kind of stuff, we've heard this kind of stuff, and we're kind of sick and tired of it, honestly. I think stuff that is very neutral, I think shows, artists, games, movies that have a very politically neutral stance of just not bringing it up would be doing, and probably are doing, very successful right now because people are just tired of it. Both sides are tired of it. If you voted for Trump, you're probably tired of it. If you didn't vote for Trump, you're probably tired of it. Everyone's tired of the politicizing everything. We want to just have some fun. We want to just watch some TV, kick back and laugh, have a beer with someone we might not politically agree with, and just laugh. Just enjoy entertainment. So that's another problem with Dear White People, is it came out at a very bad time. Even if it has valid points, people aren't really interested in hearing that right now. So a second point that I wanted to bring up, actually, is about the so-called writer. Now, I've watched probably a good dozen or 24 videos on this, and it's very murky on whether he's actually a writer or not. But the guy, I forget his name. I'm gonna put a photo of him in here. The photo of the tweet that I'm talking about. Everybody knows the tweet that I'm talking about, more than likely at this point in time. But he tweeted out when Trump won, "Fuck white people." Now, if this guy isn't a writer, then this point is invalid, right off the bat. I will definitely say that. I will admit to that. This point is invalid if he is not a actual writer for the show. But if he is, you cannot go into a supposedly semi-neutral. I'll say semi-neutral. I think the movie was semi-neutral. I do think it had propaganda that it was spouting, but I think it was semi-neutral. You can't go into a semi-neutral satire if you have the opinion, fuck white people, fuck all white people, you know? So, it is troublesome, it is problematic, as I'll say, that this guy is supposedly a writer. Now, like I said, the IMDb says one thing, his Twitter says another, people on the internet say another thing. I don't know if he's a writer. And that's kind of the overarching point of my video and my opinion on this, is a lot of this is too soon to tell. This series could actually have some valid criticisms of both sides of the argument right now. Because like with most things in life, the answer to many arguments is somewhat in between both sides, you know? And that being said, I am going to give it a shot. I do think some people are overreacting, but I also do understand and agree with the fact that there should be a little bit of backlash from this right now, only because of the current political and social climate that we're in. You know, there's riots in the streets, there's protests every day, it's looking bad out there. And I think many average Joes are just looking for an outlet where they can say, hey, I just want to have some fun. I don't want to think about this right now, which is both a good and bad point, of course. Not thinking about things too much can definitely lead to some very bad outcomes. But even the best of us who are really involved politically, involved socially, involved with all this stuff, kind of do independent research, even people like that are also wanting to have the break, you know, to watch a movie where they don't have to think about that. So I think everyone wants to, even the people who are very involved with this stuff, and I think that's where Dear White People really misses the mark. So I'm probably going to do another video on this. I've been rambling a little too much now, but I did get the points I wanted to get across for the most part. I will probably do a follow-up video to this discussing the Netflix subscription kind of backlash, and because I think there's some interesting points to be made there. But like always, this is my first video, so let's hope, like always, this is Romamnesia here, and make sure to check out that description. There's going to be some things in there. I don't know what kind of things, because, yet again, first video. So there could be, the cure for cancer in my description. You never know. So make sure to check that out. Subscribe if you want to see more. Subscribe if you want to see where this channel goes. If you don't care, well, I'm glad that I had you for this one video. And like it, share it, debate me in the comments, just have a conversation. Let's see where this goes. But like always, have a great day.